This is Nightline. Welcome. I'm Raymond Goh, and the headlines today are: Government mulling over new law to replace Sedition Act, says Prime Minister. And commuters to pay higher fares for e-hailing services beginning Friday. Good morning. The government will repeal the Sedition Act 1948 and replace it with a new law. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said a decision on it will be made soonest possible. Speaking to reporters at Parliament lobby on Thursday, Tun Dr. Mahathir said the government is still in the midst of drafting the new laws meant to replace the Sedition Act.
Kita menarik balik undang-undang dahulu. Dan untuk undang-undang baru kita berada dalam status menyusun semula ayat-ayat dalam undang-undang.
Dijangka diselesaikan bila itu? Ada time frame ke yang diletakkan oleh?
Secepat mungkin.
Tun Dr. Mahathir was commenting on Pakatan Harapan Youth's call to the government to step up efforts to repeal the Seditions Act. The Pakatan Harapan government has been under fire for the delay in repealing the archaic law that was recently used to convict and punish Islamic preacher Wan Ji Wan Hussein from PKR over remarks made against Sultan of Selangor 7 years ago. At the same press conference, Tun Dr. Mahathir also disclosed that the National Security Council Amendment Bill 2019 will be reviewed before the government tables it at the Dewan Rakyat again. According to Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, the move is necessary as there were many different opinions that needed to be considered.
Kita dapati banyak pendapat yang berbeza dan undang-undang itu perlu dikaji untuk memasukkan idea-idea yang telah disampaikan kepada kita.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said this when asked about the bill which had been withdrawn from the Dewan Rakyat on Wednesday. The bill was first tabled on April 9th. The amendments, among other things, would see the power to declare security zones transferred from the Prime Minister to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong on the advice of the National Security Council. On another issue, Tun Dr. Mahathir said the government will conduct a study on allegations that the Pulau Pinang South Reclamation PSR project will affect the environment as well as the livelihood of fishermen. The Prime Minister said appropriate action would be taken if there's evidence relating to the claims.
Kita akan kaji pendapat mereka dan jika benar apa yang disangka oleh mereka, maka kita akan ambil tindakan yang sesuai.
He was responding to questions on the dissatisfaction raised by fishermen and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, over the project. Early on Thursday, a crowd of about 200 people marched to Parliament to protest against the project and sand mining in Perak. The crowd comprised fishermen and representatives from various associations in Pulau Pinang and Perak. Last Friday, Pulau Pinang Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow said the Environment Department, DOE, had given the nod for the project near Teluk Kumba. Later in the day, Tun Dr. Mahathir stressed that the implementation of National Entrepreneurship Policy, NEP, should help Malaysia turn into a true entrepreneurial nation by 2030. He said the policy would become the nucleus and catalyst to drive a culture of entrepreneurship in the country as it underlines 5 objectives, including to shape an entrepreneurial-minded society, increase the number of resilient and qualified entrepreneurs, as well as improving the local SME capacity.
Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, sebagai sebuah dasar yang holistik, Kementerian Pembangunan Usahawan perlu fokus untuk membina ekosistem keusahawanan yang inklusif. Dengan adanya dasar keusahawan ini, saya harap semua isu pertindihan dasar tugas dan aktiviti pembangunan keusahawanan yang dilaksanakan di beberapa kementerian dapat diselaraskan semula.
He said this after officiating the launch of NEP 2030 on Thursday. He added that the policy was formulated in line with the attention that needs to be given to domestic direct investment, DDI, as well as foreign direct investment, FDI, in Malaysia, as preparation to face any possibility that could affect the country's economic growth. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also said in facing the competitive, challenging and uncertain global economy due to the United States-China trade tension, entrepreneurship in the country needs to be strengthened. He said the development of entrepreneurship and SMEs is important to improve the people's economy, as well as being a strategy and initiative to help the country escape from the middle-income trap.
Angka-angka dan ramalan-ramalan memperlihatkan keupayaan kita untuk terus merancangkan ekonomi negara, tetapi kita harus berhati-hati dan bersedia menghadapi kemungkinan berlaku keadaan yang memudaratkan pertumbuhan.
Despite the economic uncertainties caused by the trade war, Tun Dr. Mahathir said the country remains capable of attracting foreign direct investments, FDI, of 21.7 billion ringgit in the first quarter of 2019. Under NEP 2030, the SMEs are targeted to contribute 45% to the GDP, accounting for 72% of jobs in the country and 25% of the export sector's contribution to the GDP. With the possibility of fewer drivers on the road because of new regulations by the government, e-hailing users may experience an increase in dynamic fares. Ride-hailing company Grab said passengers should also anticipate longer waiting times for a ride during peak hours. Grab, in a statement, said passengers are advised to book their rides earlier, especially when catching a flight or going to an important meeting. It said passengers were also advised that getting a ride would be much easier outside the peak hours of 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. It added that the new e-hailing regulations would only affect private car ride-hailing services such as GrabCar, Just Grab, GrabCar Plus, GrabCar Premium. Taxi services on Grab would not be impacted. It was reported that only 10% out of 200,000 Grab Malaysia's active drivers had obtained their public service vehicle or PSV licenses as of Tuesday. To apply for the PSV license, drivers have to undergo a 6-hour training session at driving centres and pay up to 200 ringgit for the license. They must also get initial and annual vehicle checks at Puspacom, pass criminal background and medical checks, contribute to SOXO, purchase e-hailing add-on car insurance, and equip their cars with safety equipment including fire extinguishers. The estimated cost to complete the requirements is 800 ringgit. The bill to amend the federal constitution was retabled at the Dewan Rakyat today. Besides lowering the voting age to 18, the new bill is to include automatic voter registration and the lowering of the age for electoral candidates to 18. It was tabled for first reading by Youth and Sports Minister Syed Saddiq Syed Abdul Rahman. The second reading is scheduled for July 16th. The bill was withdrawn yesterday to include the opposition's proposals for automatic voter registration and the lowering of the age for electoral candidates to 18. The proceeds from the sale of the Equanimity super yacht worth about 527.4 million ringgit will be deposited in the One Malaysia Development Berhad, 1MDB, recovery account by August 2019 and would be used to repay 1MDB's debts. According to Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng, the profit gained from selling the ship to Genting Malaysia Berhad is now being temporarily stored in a Sheriff stakeholders account for 3 months.
Hasil jualan tersebut telah diterima sepenuhnya pada 23 hari bulan April 2019 dan kini disimpan dalam Sheriff Stakeholders Account dengan izin dalam sebuah syarikat guaman tempatan terkemuka di Malaysia untuk tempoh 3 bulan bagi tujuan penyesuaian dengan tuntutan perbelanjaan penyelenggaraan kapal yang akan ditentukan melalui perintah mahkamah.
Lim said this in reply to a question from Machang MP Dato Ahmad Jazlan Yaakob in the Dewan Rakyat on Thursday. He added that the remainder of the proceeds after deducting the related expenditure would be placed in 1MDB's recovery account. To a supplementary question, Lim said the principal of 1MDB's debt was as much as 26.65 billion ringgit. He said to date, the current government had repaid 8.9 billion ringgit of the debt, with the total amount owed by the Wealth Fund being 40.57 billion ringgit and interest amounting to 10.44 billion ringgit, bringing the total amount of debt owed to 51.01 billion ringgit. On another matter, Lim said the government has made a preliminary objection against Maju Holdings Sdn Bhd takeover of Plus Malaysia Berhad. This was after considering the views of its two main stakeholders or shareholders, Khazanah Nasional Berhad and the Employees Provident Fund EPF, which had expressed their objection.
Penilaian berdasarkan input-input yang diberikan, di mana ia termasuk juga pemegang saham utama. Kita kena pun mengambil kira pandangan pemegang saham utama. So tentu ini adalah pandangan awal daripada Kementerian Kewangan seperti yang saya sebut tadi.
However, he also noted that he would be meeting with representatives from Maju Holdings over a new proposal. It was reported that Maju Holdings Group Executive Chairman Tan Sri Abu Sahid Muhammad had put in a 36 billion ringgit bid to take over Plus in 2017. Maju Holdings is proposing a 25% reduction in toll rates to get a 10-year extension or a 30% toll reduction if the concession is extended by 15 years to 2053. The Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak's SRC trial. A witness told the Kuala Lumpur High Court that nothing tangible had resulted from the 4 billion ringgit loaned by the Retirement Fund Inc. or KWAP to SRC International Sdn Bhd. Former KWAP Chairman Tan Sri Dr. Wan Abdul Aziz Wan Abdullah said he did not know what was done by SRC with the billion ringgit loan. The hearing on Thursday started with Datuk Sri Najib's lead counsel, Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, attempting to link projects which were rushed during the tenure of other prime ministers with what Datuk Sri Najib had done. Tan Sri Shafi had gone down the path by bringing up issues of how former prime ministers had also bypassed procedures to implement projects of national importance. He cited the first Langkawi International Maritime and Aerospace Exhibition, or LIMA, and the construction of the North-South Highway as examples when cross-examining a prosecution witness. The veteran lawyer brought it up after asking Tan Sri Dr. Wan Abdul Aziz if there was anything wrong for Datuk Sri Najib to have asked the KWAP to expedite the release of a 2 billion ringgit loan to SRC International, even though the government guarantee letter for it had yet to be issued. However, immediately after that, Deputy Public Prosecutor Dr. Suhaimi Ibrahim asked the 64-year-old witness if SRC International had any results to show after getting the 4 billion ringgit from KWAP. To this, Tan Sri Dr. Wan Abdul Aziz also agreed there was no visible results shown by SRC International and that he also did not know what had happened to the money. Tan Sri Dr. Wan Abdul Aziz had on Tuesday testified that Datuk Sri Najib had called him to request for the Pensioners Fund to release a 2 billion ringgit loan to SRC International before the paperwork was formalized. The hearing continues before Justice Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali on Monday. The Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan Tengku Mansur's corruption case. The financial controller of a company testified that Asset Kayamas Sdn Bhd director Tan Sri Chai Kin Kong ordered him to make a payment of 2 million ringgit to Tatmansori Holdings Sdn Bhd, which belonged to Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan. Lai Wee Kiong, who was an employee at Tan Sri Chai's company, Sina Juta Sdn Bhd, from 2013 until 2016, said he did not know the purpose of the payment and was not certain whether Tatmansori Holdings had any business dealings with Asset Kayamas. When reading out his witness statement on the sixth day of Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan's corruption trial, Louis said it was not often that monthly payments were made to Tatman Sori Holdings. The 16th witness said after receiving the instructions from Tan Sri Chai, he checked Asset Kayamasa's account at Hong Leong Bank and found that there was sufficient fund to make the payment. He said after checking the payment voucher and being satisfied with it, he then handed it to Tan Sri Chai for approval. When showed the payment voucher, Lai, who was tasked with monitoring the financial position of all construction companies belonging to Tan Sri Chai, confirmed that the signature of the person who verified it was his, but could not remember who prepared the document. Questioned by Datuk Sri Tengku Adnan's lawyer, Datuk Tan Hock Chuan, whether he knew that the 2 million ringgit payment by Chai was a political contribution, Lai said he did not know. He also stressed that no supporting documents were provided to him. The hearing before Justice Muhammad Zaini Maslan continues on Tuesday.
Catch the auto segment every Friday on Nightline! Woo! Wow!
Thanks for staying with us. Perak DAP Exco Paul Yong Chu Kyong, who is implicated over a rape case allegation, might be asked to go on garden leave if police investigation drags on. Perak Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Faisal Azumu said he would discuss the matter with the Trono Assemblyman and would also get views from leaders of the ruling coalition before making a decision.
Namun saya fikir beliau mungkin jika siasatan ini berlanjutan dalam satu jangka masa yang panjang, saya kira mungkin boleh dinasihatkan untuk mengambil cuti. Saya sebenarnya bersetuju juga kerana kita kena faham kita tak nak dia ganggu proses siasatan tu.
Yong was arrested on Wednesday and then released on bail. He has denied the allegations, describing it as slanderous and stressed that he neither raped nor assaulted the maid. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC has obtained information of possible corruption in Kampung Kuala Ko, the rural settlement in Gua Musang, Kelantan, which came under the nation's spotlight recently. Its Chief Commissioner Latifah Koya, however, said at this stage the MACC has yet to open investigation papers on the matter.
Kita dapat terima maklumat dan we are looking into it, but I cannot discuss any operational matters because that would actually affect our whatever investigation or risikan dan sebagainya. So I cannot comment on that.
Maknanya meneliti lah.
Kita ya.
Dapat terima tu bila Puan?
I can't give that. Yeah.
Maknanya ada kemungkinan ada unsur-unsur rasuah.
I can't comment on that. Yeah.
Tapi confirm IP bukan lah kan?
Bukan IP. IP is a very specific thing. So kita ada maklumat berkenaan isu itu. We will be looking into it, but I can't discuss the operational matters.
She spoke to the media after paying a courtesy call on Kelantan State Secretary Dato' Nazran Mohamad at his complex Kota Darul Naim office in Kota Baru on Thursday. Latifah also did not reveal the parties who furnished the information or whether it was related to mining or logging activities in the Kuala Ko area. Recently, 15 Orang Asli from the Batik tribe in Kampung Kuala Ko were reported to have died from pneumonia caused by a measles epidemic in the settlement. Several parties had lodged police reports claiming that the deaths were caused by pollution in Sungai Lebir. In Terengganu, a lieutenant commander of the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, MMEA, was charged at the Kuala Terengganu Sessions Court on Thursday for bribery. The accused, Muhammad Noor Effendi Zulkifli, who was attached to the agency's Kemaman branch, however pleaded not guilty to 10 counts of accepting bribes totaling 48,700 ringgit, which were allegedly committed between April 22, 2017 and May 29th the same year. He was allowed bail of 30,000 ringgit with one surety pending mention of the case on August 8th. Also in Terengganu, the MMEA detained 3 fishing boats with 34 Vietnamese fishermen for encroaching into Malaysian waters and stealing its resources during an operation in the waters about 100 nautical miles northeast of Kuala Kemaman. Director of Kemaman Maritime Zone, Maritime Commander Rashidil Hadi Abdul Rashid, said the value of the boats and its contents, including fishing equipment, is estimated at 3 million ringgit. The case is being investigated under the Fisheries Act 1985. Still in Terengganu, a single mother pleaded not guilty in the Kuala Berang Magistrates Court on Thursday to 3 counts of neglecting her children. Magistrate Engku Nurul Ain Engku Muda fixed July 25th for remention of the case and allowed the accused Siti Minah Muhammad, 32, bail of 9,000 ringgit. According to the charge, the accused had left 3 children aged 6 to 12 years old at their low-cost house in Kuala Berang, Hulu Terengganu without supervision for 3 days. The accused was charged under the Child Act 2001, which provides for a fine of 20,000 ringgit or 5 years jail or both. Still to come on Nightline, more than a dozen killed in train crash. Thanks for staying with us. On to the foreign front now. In Pakistan, yet another fatal train crash has occurred, this time with at least 16 passengers killed and more than 80 others injured in Sadiqabad. The accident happened in the early hours of Thursday when Akbar Express train travelling from Quetta to Lahore collided with a stationary freight train at the Walha railway station in Sadiqabad, Tehsil of Punjab province. Authorities said the collision took place after the passenger train was diverted onto the incorrect track at the station, hitting the parked freight train. The death toll is expected to rise as rescue operation continues. Earlier, on June 20th, at least 3 people had died in a fatal train accident after a freight train had collided with a passenger train near Hyderabad. A freak storm in northern Greece has killed at least 6 tourists and left more than 30 others injured on Wednesday. According to authorities, gale-force winds, heavy rain and hailstorms lashed the Halkidiki region near the city of Thessaloniki, overturning cars, uprooting trees, as well as ripping off roofs. The localized storm, which reportedly only lasted about 10 to 15 minutes, also prompted officials to declare a state of emergency. Those injured were transferred to local hospitals and all were reported to be in stable condition. The storm followed a spell of very hot weather in Greece, with temperatures soaring to 37 degrees Celsius over the past 2 days. Thessaloniki, overturning cars, uprooting trees, as well as ripping off roofs. The localized storm, which reportedly only lasted about 10 to 15 minutes, also prompted officials to declare a state of emergency. Those injured were transferred to local hospitals and all were reported to be in stable condition. The storm followed a spell of very hot weather in Greece, with temperatures soaring to 37 degrees Celsius over the past 2 days.